Chapter 1: Woman Who Doesn't Love Money. The busy night shift is finally over. Nina Morrison changes her waitress's uniform and looked out the window at the rainy night and began to worry. There are too many guests today and the closing time is delayed by half an hour. She missed the last bus. The taxi cost more than $5, which is enough to buy a meal of pork for her dad. And he decides just walk home. Nina looks at the old leather shoes on her feet. They are cracked. One more dip, and they will be completely ruined. Well, she cannot afford a new one. She must hurry home as soon as possible. Daddy must still be waiting for her. Rains hit her in the face with the wind so hard that she could hardly open her eyes. Suddenly, a glare of bright light swept through. Squeaky, a silver car with a fierce posture suddenly stopped, along with sharping noise of the brake. Nina is blinded by the hard light, and knocks to the ground before she could take any reaction. With the intense pain in her knees and arms, Nina Morrison tries to stand up, but only stumble and fall to the ground. A man rushed out of the car and swore at her, "What's your problem, you bastard? Are you hurrying to the hell? How can this driver be such unreasonable? The traffic light was red and she walked is the crosswalk. How dare you scold me as you run a red light?" Nina trembles with anger as she looks at the flashy car parked in front of her. "You can run a red light just because you are rich. I have got your license plate number. Do you believe that I am going to report you at the police station?" The driver did not expect the woman to be such a difficulty to deal with. He is just to speak when the car window slowly slid down and a deep but attractive voice comes out. "Give her $1,000, and send her away." "Yes, my master." The driver immediately put on a respectful tone. Bang! A thick pile of money is thrown on Nina that makes her in pain. The driver gives her a look as if it is a reward and turns to get in the car. Nina's eyes are red with anger and angry tears roll her eyes. She looks up desperately to keep the tears from falling. Picking up the banknotes on the ground, she endures the pain of the knee and arm, and with all her strength, throw them to the driver's arrogant back. Shit! The driver does not see that coming, and the money hit him accurately. He turns around furious and threatens to hurt her. "Ryan!" The man sitting in the car stopped the driver. Nina looks into the car, the light of the streetlight slanting into the window and into a man's face. It is such a handsome face, just like what they say about ancient emperors in the legend stories. The aloof black eyes shine unfathomable light. And right now, he is looking at Nina in mockery. "Come here." He hooks his finger at Nina and says in a defiant tone, with irresistible force. The man is far too handsome. Looking at his cheeks, Nina Morrison is in a daze, walking involuntarily to the window. It hurts. Nina's tiny jaw is suddenly seized by the man's palm. She exclaims, "What are you doing? Let me go." Quote. The man stares at her sharply just like she has become his prey, stroking her delicate cheeks with his big hands and saying with a sardonic smile, "How could there be a woman who does not love money?" Quote. Nina feels painful with his pinch as she tries to break free of his grip. But the man's strength is amazing. She cannot move just for a little bit. Nina's bright eyes glare at him with hatred. "Just because you are rich and you think you can do whatever you want. Let go, or I will go to the police and sue you. For your running a red light, as well as your sexual harassment." The man laughs scornfully, the palm stiffened, and Nina feels her jaw is about to crumple and her pale face shrivels in pain. "You're a madman." Nina Morrison could barely speak. "Mom." The man's dark pupils suddenly shrink and he releases the big hand. Without the force, Nina Morrison falls to the ground unguarded. A gold card is thrown out of the window. The man's proud voice carries pity of highness. This is my name card. Can take it to the police station to sue me. Of course, if you need medical care, you can take it to Gray's to find me. Chapter 2. The men she wants to marry. Lamborghini gallops away, splashing muddy water that soaks Nina Morrison's already wet clothes. Nina sits on the muddy ground, tears of anger falling out. She picks up that golden card, tries to tear it, but it is too hard to beat. Even this man's business card is such a bully. The phone in the bag suddenly rings. She slips his card into her pocket and looks at the caller ID. Damn, it is her stepmother Doris Lauren. Nina Morrison. Do you know what time it is? Yet you are not going home to cook. Do you want to starve us? Before she has time to speak, Doris Lauren's voice came out, shaking Nina's eardrum. Damn it. She would have been home by now. Without this accident, dinner would have cooked by now. Not knowing if Dad is hungry, Nina struggles to get up from the ground and hobbles toward her home, thinking of her half-unconscious dad lying on the bed. The skirt is wet through, and the hair is wet against her face. The night wind blows in, freezing to the bone. Pushing through the rusty door, Nina is about to take off her wet shoes when she hears Doris Lauren's terrifying voice shouting in the room. Eat, eat, and eat. You cannot earn a penny but in a lot of debt. What else do you want from me? Quote. The stepmother is scolding her father again. Nina Morrison feels a sharp pain in the heart. She hastily changes her wet clothes, walks down to the kitchen and washes her hands to start cooking quickly. 2 dishes and a soup are served on the table, a mixed pickle, a stir-fried green vegetables, a tomato egg soup, which is the only one with a bit of oily flavor. Nina gets a bowl of rice, grabs some green vegetables, scoops up some tomato and egg soup, and carries the bowl into the back room. In the middle of the bed lays Nina Morrison's father, Barry Morrison. His dazed eyes are half open and half closed, and the whole person is in a semi-coma. He had a heart attack and has been this for a while since the bankruptcy of Morrison's company. Nina holds her father's head against her and feeds him little by little. Looking at his thin cheeks, she feels sadness. A sharp female voice comes to her ears. Mom, how can we eat this for dinner? It is the stepmother's daughter Grace Lauren. Since her stepfather broke, she seldom goes home. What brings her back today? If you do not want to eat this, then find a rich husband, and then you can eat whatever you like. Doris Lauren does not have a good attitude for her own daughter either. After the meal, Nina Morrison washes the dishes and go back to her room to take a bath and to wash the wet clothes she has changed. Nina, where did you get this? Grace holds the card excitedly and her eyes turn into red. Ah. Seeing the card in Grace's hand, Nina remembers the proud man in Lamborghini. I got hit by a car today, and the card is from the owner. Says Nina faintly. Do you know whose card this is? Nina's subtle tone makes Grace feel incredible. Her white, nail-red painted fingers points to the name on the card. Lucian Gray. Lucian Gray. He's the president of Gray's. The Gray Group. Lucian Gray. Nina is a little confused about Grace's florid expression. The Gray's Group, the world's leading consortia, has property, entertainment, catering, transportation, mining, oil and even military arms. Their influence is throughout Asia, Africa, and Latin America. It is a super plutocrat in the whole world. In many countries, the election of leaders is even dominated by the Gray's Group. Lucian Gray, president of the group, was named the number 1 on the list of men that women want to marry in the world by the Power magazine. He is not only rich, powerful, but also handsome. Legend tells that his women are countless, but he never stays with them for more than 7 days. Nina was a little distracted watching Grace's blabber and blabbermouth. This Lucian Gray sounds rich, but what does that have to do with her? Grace looks at Nina as if she is an idiot. She cannot believe there is a woman who will not scream on hearing Lucian Gray's name. Nina, do you know what this card means? Grace asks deliberately, knowing that Nina could not have known. What does that mean? Nina yawns. She does not have a good impression of this president. He is just a rich man who is bossy. It means that anyone who holds the card is free to enter the T.'s private club under the name of Grays. It is said that Lucian Gray often goes to that club. Grace Lauren is excited again. Because she has a bold plan in her heart. Oh, Nina says absently, completely unaware of the flash in Grace's eyes. It's because there is a big pile of laundry which is waiting her. Chapter 3 Bold Idea. At night the T.S. Club is ablaze with lights. A 7-story firework fountain with elegant music sprays charming water mist. Fancy cars gather in front of the club, and men and women here wears fashionable and expensive clothes. In the middle of fancy cars, a taxi that does not fit in stops suddenly. Peeking out a pair of long legs from the door, Grace Lauren in a tight black dress walks down from the car. Her bright red lips, amazing body curves, tinged with brown wavy long hair, gives off a seductive smell. The doorman in front of the door has noticed Grace Lauren coming down from the taxi. His eyes flashed with contempt. Another vain woman who wanted to catch a golden husband. Reaching out to stop Grace Lauren, who is twisting her waist toward the golden glass door, the doorman politely but coldly says, "Miss, we are a private club, only members can enter." Grace Lauren proudly raises the card in her hand. The golden light of it flashes the doorman's eyes. In C City, only one person can use a golden card. That is Lucian Gray. The doorman's attitude tunes immediately, and he bows respectfully. "Come in, miss. Have a nice evening." Lucian Gray, the most powerful man in the city of C. How dare her to get in the way of Lucian's woman? Pleased with a smile, Grace Lauren shakes hair, steps into the golden door. "Grace." A voice of surprise comes from the nearby. Grace Lauren turns her head to look. It is her high school classmate Ryan. "Ryan, what are you doing here?" In Grace Lauren's memory, Ryan is just a little punk who showed interest in her, but she never gave him a chance. "Today we are having a little party at T.S. I drive the president of Gray here. I am his driver now." Ryan's voice is rather complacent. After all, the driver of the Gray family is not a job for anyone. "Grays. President Gray. Do you mean Lucian Gray?" Grace Lauren's eyes lit up. She is so lucky. Thought it would take some thought. She did not expect the opportunity. In the dimly lit suite, Ryan is pressing on Grace. The air is filled with the smell of desire. "Ryan, the thing you promised me, you must make it happen." The woman wriggles wildly. "I can put drugs in the president's drink, but I cannot help you more. You know, the president only wants virgins." "What?" Grace's body temperature suddenly drops several degrees. "You said Lucian Gray just want virgins." "Yes. Don't you know that? For the first night, she must be a virgin, and no matter how beautiful she is, the shelf life is only 7 days." Grace Lauren feels her blood inside the body has fallen to freezing point. She does not know that Lucian Gray has such a hobby. What can she do? Grace narrows her eyes and a bold thought comes to mind. The night grows dark, and the two of them, who writhed in the beds, subside. Grace Lauren hands the pill to Ryan and says, "Ryan, everything is counting on you. If I become Lucian Gray's woman, I will repay you for your help." Nina Morrison, who is working in the restaurant, suddenly feels a jolt from her cell phone in her pocket and a call comes in. A strange phone call comes through, and Nina answers, "Hey, sis, what's up? Come to room 1806 at the TS Clubhouse. Your sister is drunk. Come to pick her up. Remember, room 1806. A man's voice comes from the phone. Ah, Nina Morrison is trying to speak. But the phone has been disconnected. She calls again, but no one answers. Nina hurriedly tells her friend, Jenny, who is also working part-time at the restaurant, and then hurries to take a taxi to the TS club. Chapter 4 Painful and Numb. In the house of TS club. In a hurry, Nina comes in, wearing a blue dress. She has black shawl and straight hair, a pair of clear, watery eyes, and an anxious little face. The doorman in the doorway nods quietly. Yes, this woman, as Lucian Gray's driver Ryan said, beautiful but shabby, who comes over tonight to spend the night with Lucian Gray. Excuse me, how do I get to room 1806? Asks Nina Morrison anxiously. Is this Miss Nina Morrison, please? The doorman asks gallantly. Secretly think that this little girl is really pure water and tender. Lucian Gray is really blessed. It is good to be rich. Yes, I am. How do I get to room 1806? Take the elevator on the left side of the lobby to the 18th floor. It is the largest and most luxurious suite at the end of the corridor. Thank the doorman in a hurry. Nina trots all the way to the elevator. Why is a strange man calling her? How did Sister show up at such a high-class club? With a lot of questions, Nina Morrison came to the 18th floor. The corridor is quiet, and the floor is covered with a thick white carpet of wool, and the sound of Nina's walking is completely absorbed, which makes her feel uncomfortable. Genuine paintings from all around the world hung on the walls of expensive wallpaper, and Nina would have screamed in surprise of seeing them. But now, she is not in the mood to appreciate it. The air is filled with a mysterious and oppressive atmosphere, and as Nina Morrison steps toward the end of the corridor, her heart begins to thump uncontrollably. In 1806, 4 figures in bronzing appeared before her eyes. Sisters in there. With her long white fingers stretched out, Nina Morrison taps on the door. Inside the door there is complete silence. Nina pushes a little harder. Creak, a slight noise. Seemingly thick oak door is pushed open by her. The door is unlocked. The room is dark, without any light or sound. Sis, are you there? Sis. Nina Morrison feels a little cold on her back, and this room gives her a strange fear. She does not hear Grace Lauren's response, but only vaguely hear heavy breathing, as if trying to endure some pain. Poor sister. Nina Morrison fumbles toward the gasp. Grace must be very drunk and she must quickly take her home, give her some sobering up soup to drink. The breathing comes closer and closer to her. All of a sudden, Nina feels the hairs on her back stand up. Someone's behind her. Before she could respond, the next second she is held tightly by a pair of powerful big hands. It is not her sister. This is a pair of male hands, very hot, with the danger of destroying everything and bullying. Ah, who are you? Nina screams, her body wriggling instinctively, trying to break free of the man's grip. The man in the dark does not answer her question. The strong body deceives her. The force on the big palm increases. The hard, muscular thighs strongly imprison her legs, and the other hand directly deceives her body. Nina struggles. No, let go of me. Her shouts are so broken and her body trembles with terror. The man's plunder does not stop, and the fiery words on her lips in the rough toss. Nina is startled and frightened. She bites him hard. A faint smell of blood fills in her mouth. The man snorts painfully, apparently irritated by Nina Morrison. Ah! The extreme fear makes Nina shriek wildly and her fingers begin scratching at the man. But no matter how deep her nails are, how tight her teeth are, how desperate her cry is, the man still pierces her body without pity. No. The pain nearly knocks Nina out. The tearing sensation makes her heart stop beating. The remaining reason tells her that she has lost her virginity. But she does not even know who this man is. She does not even know what he looks like. Tears run down. It is a heavy drop, bitter, and hard to swallow. Darkness is filled with the smell of blood. She does not know how long it has been. She has been numb with pain. She only knows that her eyes are swallowed by the darkness and her heart is completely broken. Chapter 5. Where did you go last night? The early morning sunshine, with a touch of warmth through the gauze curtains, fall on the luxurious queen bed. On the snow-white sheet, Nina's long, silky hair is already tangled and the body is covered in bruises. Her long lashes covers the clear eyes. Under the small white nose, pink lips are stained with some blood trace. With a gentle groan, Nina Morrison wakes up, feeling a pain in her head and aching all over her body. With her bright eyes up, Nina covers her mouth with her hand while in shock. An exclamation is pressed deep in the throat. Beside her lies a strong man that makes her suddenly stares at him with beautiful eyes. The scene last night is replaying in her head like a movie. The wild looting and biting, the endless pain and suffering, all of that made Nina Morrison tremble all over. With tears falling out of control, she climbs down the queen bed, picks up the floor of the skirt to wrap herself, but only to find that the skirt is torn into strands of cloth. From the rag-like torn skirt, it is not hard to see the unsympathetic tear force. What is she going to do? The man in bed could wake up any minute, and she has to get out of the room as soon as possible. Amid the clutter of clothes on the ground, a white, masculine shirt was tangled with her dress, and Nina holds her arms tightly to her chest, covers her body, and creeps slowly down the bed. She gently picks up the white shirt with the slowest movement. The man behind her is still asleep without a sound. That gives Nina Morrison a little peace of mind. She picks up a piece of torn cloth from the dress and ties it around the waist. The long, big shirt suddenly becomes a shirt-skirt that can wear going out. Nina makes her messy hair up with her hands, looks at the man's back again and runs away from the suite. In the dilapidated shantytowns, Nina is hurrying to change the white shirt in the dark, damp room. On the shirt still remains the scent of that man. It is cold, evil, bullying and full of the power to destroy everything. The smell was a silent reminder of last night. The scene of the night was flooding back before her eyes, and Nina could not help shaking again. She lost her virginity but she does not even know who the man is. Bang! The door is slammed open. Grace Lauren comes in with a strong pungent aroma. Nina, where were you last night? You have not been home all night, asks Grace Lauren angrily. Looking at Nina, who has just taken off half her clothes with her bare skin covered in bruises and hickeys, Grace is satisfied as well as jealous. Last night's dose of aphrodisiac was so high. It must have been painful for Nina to endure the rape of a man who had been drugged. But Lucian Gray was the one who raped her. How many women are lined up to get into his bed? Grace Lauren's narrow eyes narrows and tries to hide her true feelings. Hearing the words of Grace Lauren, Nina's heart sinks to the bottom. It looks like her sister does not even know about last night. Who the hell is that? Who led her to the club in the name of her sister? No, she cannot tell her sister about last night. Just let her heal herself in the corner. She does not want the second person to know. Nina lowers her eyes and her long lashes cast a dense shadow over her thin white cheeks. She looked fragile but stunning. Sis. Last night is a classmate's birthday and we celebrated all night long. Nina covers her body with the shirt. Her voice is a little bit short with an unnatural tremor. Grace Lauren's lip angle revealed a dark and cruel smile. This little girl is really scheming to refuse to tell her the truth. But that is good. She saved a lot of trouble explaining. Grace gets a glimpse of the white shirt and pulls it from Nina. The white shirt is with excellent quality and the workmanship and the style are first class. Although it is only a plain white shirt, but it reveals the extraordinary noble spirit. At the cuff of the shirt, elegant letters of L. G. are embroidered with fine gold thread. L. G. Lucian Gray's initials for his name. This shirt belongs to Lucian Gray. Did Lucian Gray give this to Nina Morrison? Grace Lauren feels nervous and her tone becomes very bad. Nina, where did you get this shirt? Chapter 6. You taste is so bad. Nina is suddenly aware that Grace can never know the truth. With her character, Grace will surely make it known to all. Nina can't take the humiliation. Oh, well, I borrowed it from my classmates. I stained my clothes last night. Nina Morrison observes Grace's face as she speaks with some fear of making a dent. Grace turns her eyes and thinking that since Nina said so, she certainly does not know the true identity of Lucian Gray. That is it. Nina, this shirt is a little dirty. I will take it and wash it for you. Watching Grace walks out of the room with the shirt in her hands, Nina frowns and feels curious. Her sister never did any housework. What makes she help her wash clothes today? But she feels good about that Grace have taken the man's clothes. She was going to throw it anyway. She does not want anything to do with that man. The 27-story glass curtain wall of the Gray's company building glistens in the sun. The front hall on the first floor is tastefully decorated and low-key, with outstanding taste everywhere. It is said to have been designed by Lucian Gray himself. Standing in the shiny marble floor, Grace Lauren swings her waist buttocks against the glass door, enjoying the graceful posture. Today this deep V-tight skirt is her most expensive and beautiful dress. Her white skin and exquisite curves seem to be very attractive. The young lady at the front desk looks at Grace Lauren with a familiar glance. Miss, what can I do for you? The woman is dressed so coquettish. She must be some kind of lover of the president. I am looking for Lucian Gray, replies Grace Lauren haughtily, reaching out to fondle her curly hair and trying to flirt with male staff crossing by. Do you have an appointment, please? Do I need an appointment? You tell the president that I was the woman who spent the night with him last night. Grace Lauren says proudly. The president's office is at the top floor. Lucian Gray, who wanted to press the phone after hearing from the front desk secretary, has several meetings today and is not in the mood to deal with the women. But Lucian smiles like an evil when he heard the woman came to him was for last night. Last night's woman, indeed, is a little different from the other women. If other women are French cuisine, she is a porridge dish. He is used to eating a big meal and occasionally taste the porridge dish also seems to be good. President Gray. A delicate voice comes into the president's office. Lucian Gray looks up from the laptop. A woman in an exposed dress stands at the door. The neckline of the deep verses is deliberately lowered, almost to the navel. Pair of watery blossom eyes is painted with heavy makeup. Lucian Gray frowns. The woman in the bed last night appeared to be innocent and tender. The gorgeous woman in front of him did not seem to match. What is going on? Does she dress like this to please him? How bad his taste has become. Lucian's dark eyes stare pointedly at Grace Lauren, and he says nothing. The depression causes by him makes Grace feel nervous. Does Lucian see through that she is a fake? Hastily, she pulls out the neatly folded white shirt from her bag, points to the LG at the cuff. Grace moves quickly to Lucian Gray to hand it over to him and says, "Sir, I come to return your shirt." As she speaks, she wriggles her slender waist. Her plump body almost comes to Lucian Gray's face. Chapter 7. You don't want. Lucian Gray slouches over the back of his chair as he closes his laptop. The smile on his mouth is a bit seductive and his slightly narrowed eyes are too deep to see any emotion. Some buttons of his shirt are unbuttoned. And his wheat-colored chest is strong, giving off a deadly masculine charm. A few red tides flow in Grace Lauren's cheeks. In her view, Lucian Gray's action is a naked invitation. It is time to show her femininity. She walked along the wide desk toward Lucian Gray. Grace looks at Lucian Gray with her eyes a little blurred. He is so handsome and rich. If she can get him, then she will not have to worry for the rest of her life. She will not have to live in that low shantytown anymore. But Lucian Gray does not seem to take any action. He is still lounging in his chair, smiling. But his dark eyes are as cold as ice. Grace is a little anxious. She sits on Lucian Gray's lap. Lucian takes Grace in his arms and looks at her delicate and beautiful face with a smile on his face. Grace's face flushes. A glimmer of interest shines in her eyes. It seems that what they say about President Gray, such as he is extremely choosy about women and he only likes big star and virgin, is baloney. She just twisted her waist and already got him. Grace continues to wriggle. Her tender hands rub Lucian Gray's chest. But Lucian is still not responding. She is a little annoyed. Grace put her ruddy lips close to Lucian Gray's ears and whispers seductively, "Lucian, don't you want it?" Suddenly, her hair is held tightly by a large, hard palm from the back. The pulling makes her scalp pain. Staring at him in shock, Grace realizes Lucian Gray's handsome face is very close. His face is only a few millimeters from her and the heat of his breath makes her tremble. Grace is just about to say something. The next second, she has been picked up by Lucian Gray, whose black eyes stares coldly into her astonished eyes, and he utters two words from his mouth. "Get out." Quote. Grace Lauren widens her eyes. What is going on here? How can things turn into like this? Did not Lucian just get carried away by her? Why would he want her to leave now? Does she get it wrong? Looking at Grace's idiotic expression, Lucian Gray wearily stepped up his hand and threw her into the wide sofa by the wall. Taking out the checkbook from his desk, brushing down a few numbers, Lucian Gray threw the check on Grace's face. His attractive voice sounded cold and harsh. Get out. Now. Chapter 8. You are really generous. Nina is 20 minutes late for her shift when she hurried from school to the Prague restaurant. It is her third job and also the most rewarding part-time job. Prague restaurant is the best Western restaurant in the city of C. So the rules here are very strict. Being late for 3 times or receiving one complaint from a guest, and you will be fired immediately. Nina wears a light blue waiter uniform and runs to the passing area. Sunny must have waited for a long time, she thinks. Sunny, I am sorry. The professor overran class today. Nina repeats her apologies. No problem, Nina. Haha, today I wish I am on duty. Sunny's face is with a glimmer of anticipation and joy. Her big eyes show a lot of expectation. Ah, why? The manager is giving out bonus today. Quote. No. Sunny makes a grimace. This is better than bonus. I heard the president of Gray's is coming today. The president of Gray's. Nina faces frozen. Gray. Why does it sound so familiar? It seems to be popping up in her ears a lot recently. Sunny reaches out and squeezes the tiny and innocent face of Nina. Lucian Gray. I heard he is so handsome and generous. His fans can line up to circle the earth. Haha, that is too exaggerated. Besides, he is handsome and rich, and what does it have to do with us? Nina shrugs disapprovingly and handles the orders quickly. Maybe it is your turn to serve, Lucian Gray. Then the president of Gray sees your beautiful face, and the small waist. And suddenly he falls in love with you and then marries you. Madam President, do not pretend that you don't know me when you come to dinner in a Ferrari with a 20-carat diamond in Chanel's latest fashion cloth. She pretended to be miserable, shaking Nina's arm with her hand. Nina Morrison jumps to mess with her, saying, "You bad guy. I will tell everyone about your funny story." The two girls frolicked into a mess. Nina. Soda for table 12. Come on. Nina makes a funny look to Sunny and picks up the plate to go to the vestibule. The job is well paid, but it is still very tiring. The people who come are powerful. And of course they are more difficult to serve. Nina is careful all the time and is afraid of any mistakes. She can't lose the job. The family is still in debt. With a professional smile on her face, she is stunned to see a guest at table 12, the recently flushed actress, Sulia. A month ago, she is a little-known little actress. But she turns popular after starring in a romantic movie. It is said that she is backed by a consortium, so the publicity team are the most powerful. Sulia is really beautiful. A soft and thick hair casually linked, so that the white delicate neck presents a attractive radiance. The delicate and bold makeup makes the deep and remarkable features appear more charming. The white drag ground skirt with the back of the large V-word expose a lot of really eye-catching skin. Excuse me. Here is your soda. Nina smiles and put down the glass. Thank you. Although polite and uncritical, Sulia's voice is cold and there is no thanking in it. The phone on the white lace tablecloth rings. It is a Virtu, the world's top luxury mobile phone, with diamonds as shell. There are only 200 phones of this kind in the world and you cannot buy them just because you have the money. Nina is secretly curious. Although Sulia is a frontline actress right now, but this mobile phone seems a bit too much. Perhaps it really comes from rich supporter. It is a generous present. Chapter 9 Hate This Man. Sulia glances at the huge screen of the phone with a sweet smile on her face and presses the catch button with her long fingers. Darling, where have you been? Why are you not here yet? It is boring to have me waiting for you here alone. Sulia's voice is so soft that men could hardly resist it. The great beauty that is like an iceberg has such a little girl face. Seeing her change, Nina is curious about the people on the other end of the phone. What? Let me guess where you are. What a bad guy. Sulia's gorgeous little mouth pounced. Have not you taken off yet? Nina is whispering in her heart that couples are so bored and nauseated. Even big stars are the same. Baby, you have no faith in me. The voice of the man on the other end of the phone is deep and attractive. The sounds seem to come from behind. Nina and Sulia turn around at the same time. He wears a tailored suit of black Armani suits and is at least 6 foot tall. This man has godlike, handsome, perfect features. His charm black eyes are sharp although he is actually smiling. Standing so casually with long, straight legs, there is still a sense of aggressive aristocracy. Nina thinks to herself that why does this president look familiar to her? But then she shakes her head and denies the illusion. He is the top plutocrat president and she is just a small person in a poor family, how can she know about him? With an evil smile on his face, Lucian Gray walks further to Nina, says, how about my card? Is it useful? There is a tremendous amount of pressure and Nina takes a cold breath. It was him. It is the man at the rainy night. Anger flares up again. Her little chest heaves up and down with anger, but it just gets the man's glimpse. Lucian, says Sulia softly. Well, Lucian Gray responds. But his eyes remains fixed on Nina Morrison. His sharp eyes seem to pierce Nina's uniform. She feels a little embarrassed and holds her arms tightly. She hates this man. Self-righteous. Overbearing. Just because he is rich. As soon as Lucian Gray appears in the restaurant, he attracts a lot of eyes, especially those of the girls. Some think that Sulia is with Lucian Gray. No wonder she has been so popular lately. It is easy to be success as she has Gray's group to back her up. Sulia is enjoying the satisfaction of the envy of the crowd. When she turns her head, she finds Lucian Gray's eyes are not on her. Follow Lucian Gray's eyes. What? He has been looking at this waitress. Sulia looks up and down at Nina. Her body is wrapped in a uniform so she could not see her figure. The skin is indeed white and clear, but the facial features are just fine. It is not some amazing beauty. A sudden surge of disdain rises in her heart, but her voice is more soft and sweet than ever. She says, Lucian, you know this waitress. Sulia especially said the word, waitress, louder, and she stares at Nina with deep contempt in her beautiful eyes which drew delicate eyeliner. Chapter 10 New Lover. Looking at Sulia's hostile eyes, Nina thinks the president of Gray's is a real bad sign. If you meet him, nothing good will happen at all. Why would Sulia do this to her? She is just doing her job and don't want to mess with anyone. Glaring at Lucian with hatred, Nina quickly dismisses the relationship with Lucian. No, no, no. I do not know Gray and I have never met him. She does not want anything to do with this man, this egomaniac. Lucien's eyebrows are raised slightly and his dark eyes narrows dangerously. Any woman in the world would want to fawn on him. He is so disgusted by the little woman today. Is this a hard-to-get trick? Lucien stares at Nina's limpid eyes and raised his eyebrows, says, I did not expect to see you again so soon. What are you talking about, sir? I don't understand. Nina stealthily moves her body to escape from him. He is so tall and the pressure makes her feel difficult to breathe. She hates cocky men. Lucien, with his hands around his chest, looks at Nina's little movement with ease and suddenly has an interest in teasing her. Stolidly blocking Nina's way with his body and says, Don't understand. Then how do you know my last name is Gray? Who cares if your last name is Gray or Charles? Get the hell out of here. Do not stop me from working and making money. Nina almost blurts these out. Saying these in her mind, her eyes look down softly, pretending to be innocent. She just wants Lucien and Sulia to continue to flirt with each other and stop teasing her. Feeling that Lucien Gray's behavior is abnormal, Sulia is much desire to catch Lucien Gray's eye. She cannot stand sitting here when Lucien Gray is interested in other women. Besides, the woman is just a little waitress. Can't you see my glass is empty? Sulia points to her empty glass, stares at Nina, and looks up and down at her tattered sneakers. Hearing Sulia's words, Nina Morrison quickly picks up her pitcher and gives her a refill. She is a waitress. It is her job to serve guests. Even the guest is hostility and contempt. Nina feels her movements stiffened under Lucien's gaze. This annoying man. What are you looking at? Have not you ever seen waitress pour water for a guest? With her stiff hands and feet filling Sulia's glass with water, Nina Morrison finally breathes a sigh of relief. Soon she will to change the table with Jenny. She does not want to serve them anymore. Just as Nina turning to go, Sulia says in a cold voice, Pass me the glass. Nina carefully hands the glass to Sulia. Before she could let go, Sulia pulls it on purpose and the glass falls to the floor. Bang! A crisp slap comes up. The smile on Sulia's face disappeared and she slaps Nina in the face. How do you serve your guests? You have ruined my dress. Quote, do you know how expensive my dress is? You can't afford to even work here for 3 years. The sudden slap in the face freezes Nina Morrison. Sulia grabs Lucien Gray's arm and says coquettish, Lucien, look at her, she gets my skirt dirty. Take me to buy a new one later. Lucien Gray gives Sulia a stolid look, with a gleam in his eyes that she could not understand. Sulia panics. Lucien seems not to be himself today. What was so special about this waitress? No, she can't let that happen. She is Lucien Gray's new lover, and her throne is not warm yet. How can this little woman take it from her? Chapter 11 She bullies me. Sulia's eyes gleam malevolently. Her cool face raises, looks at Nina superciliously and says, How dare you, a waitress, stain the guests' clothes without even showing any apology. Nina's pale face is flushed and her fists are clenched. The situation is deadlocked. Sulia has wanted to put Nina Morrison down in front of Lucien Gray, but the little girl refuses to give in and stares at her, hardly look down upon her. Feeling angrier, Sulia beats the table fiercely. Get the lobby manager here. Sulia's movements draw a lot of attention from the rest of the restaurant, and the people cast curious glances. Lucien Gray, who is still holding his chest in his relaxed arms, stands idly with his long legs. As if he is waiting for a show. He is aware of Nina's temper. She is just a little hedgehog. Now she must want to have a big fight with Sulia and walk away. Most of the guests of Prague restaurant are rich and the requirements for waiters are very high. One will be dismissed immediately upon complaint. Nina nibbles at her pale lips. This is the highest paid one among her 3 jobs. If she is fired, what is she going to do about Dad's medical bills? The corners of her mouth are almost bloodshot, and Nina spoke with difficulty. Sorry, it is my fault. Please forgive me. Lucian Gray raises his eyebrows and wonders at Nina's groveling. Forgive you? Sure. I have spent more than $6,000 for this dress. You can buy me a new one. Sulia glances proudly at Lucian. This waitress is an ugly duckling who is not worth looking at. How can you compare to me? A dress for over $6,000. Nina suddenly stares wide her limpid eyes. This woman is too vicious. It is just a few drops of soda, and she wants her to pay for a new dress. She spilled the water on purpose on her own. Lucian Gray's eyes become more playful. The show is getting better and better and he wants to see how the little woman could cope with Sulia. Looking up at Lucian Gray's playful glance, Nina's feelings of grievance and irritation all turns into monstrous rage. These rich and powerful people just like to make fun of little guys like her, right? Right. Do not blame her for being rude. Nina clenches her fist and gets rid of her humble and apologetic face. Her voice is clear and firm. Miss Sulia, I can surely buy you a same new dress. What? Lucian and Sulia are both surprised. Seeing how shabby the little girl's shoes are and how poor she looks like, how could she say that she could afford a $6,000 dress? Seeing Lucian Gray and Sulia's ineffable surprise, Nina raises her voice and flickers her eyes. Now that I will pay for a new dress, this dirty dress is mine, isn't it? Well, of course it is yours. Sulia has no idea what this little girl is doing. Lucian slightly picks the corner of his mouth, and a clear smile quietly emerged. His deep eyes also reveal a few praises. It is not that obvious that this little girl, although having a stubborn temper, still have a bit of wit. Well, take off this dirty dress and give it to me now. Nina says loudly. You. Sulia knows she has fallen into the trap of Nina. She points her finger at Nina Morrison, being so angry that she could not speak. Lucian. She bullied me. Sulia purses her lips, leaning against Lucian Gray's arms, pointing at Nina Morrison with one hand and shaking Lucian's arm with the other. Lucian. Say something. Look what she is doing to me. Chapter 12 Hurriedly. Escape. Everybody in the restaurant looks this way. That is enough. A deep male voice snaps back Sulia's chatter. Sulia's watery eyes suddenly become desperate. Something like this had happened before, but Lucian had never stopped her. She is Lucian's favorite of many lovers. But today he did that just for a poor waitress. Lucian, you. Sulia does not give up. She tightens Lucian Gray's arm. Lucian looks at Nina with black eyes and shows an inscrutable smile. Nina feels uncomfortable and wants to get out of here as soon as possible. The man is too dangerous and the air around him is too oppressive. Even with a smile on his face, the atmosphere is cold. But Lucian Gray blocks her just in the way. President Gray, excuse me please. I am going to do my job. Nina pulls out a professional smile and says politely. But there is no humility in her eyes. Suddenly, her jaw is seized by Lucian Gray's big hand. Shit, this is happening again. The pain feels so familiar. On that rainy night he squeezed her jaw so mercilessly that her jaw had been bruised for days. Nina takes a cold breath because of pain. She is furious. Should the poor be bullied? Why should she be insulted and abused for no reason? She stares with a pair of large clear eyes coldly at Lucian's. Let go. The voice is calm and unemotional. Woman, are you giving me orders? Lucian's palm tightens. Looking at Nina's pale but unbent face, he flashes a few anger in his heart. This woman never knows how to admit defeat. Must you be so stubborn? Woman, you better be nice. I will say it one last time. Let go. Nina is holding on but her patience is running out. Well, don't forget that I am a guest. It is best to speak to me politely. Lucian's voice flows proudly over her head and the strength of her palm does not diminish. Nina Morrison thinks her jaw is going to be crushed. The last shred of patience is faded away. Nina raises her knee and runs her full strength between Lucian Gray's legs. Hiss. Lucian takes a cold breath and looks at Nina with astonishment. How dare someone kick him in here? Nina takes the opportunity to escape Lucian's clutches and quickly retreats to safety. Her little face is filled with a triumphant smile. President Gray, I forgot to tell you that I have a black belt of Taekwondo. Lucian's face is clawed and his dark eyes are filled with anger. Nina could not help but shudder. Lucian. With a scream, Sulia throws herself at Nina's face and says, "You are such a mean woman. I will tell your manager to fire you." Nina smiles, quickly unbuttons her lace apron and throws it briskly on the table. She pats her hands in a happy mood and says, "Whatever. I quit now." Nina turns around and throws a defiant smile at Lucian. She runs away while Sulia is busy with showing care for Lucian Gray. If Lucian catches her, her jaw will break for sure. Chapter 13. Live well is fine. Nina Morrison breathes a sigh of relief as she storms out of the restaurant. Fortunately, she has practiced long-distance running. Otherwise, being caught by this bossy man will be miserable. This is not going to have a happy ending. The night wind blows on her body, and it's cool and comfortable. Nina takes a deep breath of fresh air and her beating heart slowly subsides. How long has it been since she has seen the view of the night in this city? She cannot remember. Since her father, Barry Morrison, was ill in bed, she has been very busy. She has classes during the day and 3 jobs at night. She often gets home at dawn. Thinking of father, Nina is filled with chagrin. Nina Morrison, why are you so impulsive? Why do you have to deal with that kind of woman? This job at the Prague restaurant is the best paid one. How can you give up easily because someone is a little mean to you? What about Dad's medical expenses? Stepmother Doris Lauren has secretly started dates for herself to find a way out. Sister Grace is a model. Although the salary is very high, she spends too much money and can barely afford her own spending. All the economic pressure is on Nina Morrison. But now, she lost this job. That Lucian Gray is to blame. President. What a loser. Finding such a shallow woman. He is just an arrogant pig. Nina frowns grimly, cursing Lucian in her heart. Well, now she needs another part-time job, or she will not be able to cope with her father's daily medication. Nina looks around the street, hoping to see some job advertisement in the buildings. Suddenly, her eyes suddenly stare. There is a black car parked on the street. With the car windows open, a young man is sitting in the driver's seat. He wears a white shirt, and has a handsome face. His bright and black eyes are looking intently at the traffic lights on the road. Slim fingers are against the window, which are white and clean. Nina shudders. Tears rolls down from her eyes and her hands presses against her mouth so that she could not cry. It is him. It is Troy Roger, her senior. Why is he here? After her father broke down, in order to escape the creditors, the family moved to C-City. Her mobile phone was lost and she has never heard from him ever since. How does he show up in C? Nina thinks her heart is going to stop. She stares at the man in the car for a while before she gets herself back again and runs madly toward the car. It is too late. The green light is on and the black car starts, driving away like a flying arrow. Troy, wait for me. Troy. Nina, ignore the astonished eyes of passers-by, runs after the car, waving her hands. Her pale face is filled with tears. It's been 3 years since her move, and she couldn't believe she can meet him again. Troy Roger. His appearance has not changed much. He is handsome and elegant as in the past. All these years, he must have been fine, right? He is the only son of the Grand Mayor. It is natural that he is better off than a broken-down daughter of a declining family. That is good. That is really good. He is fine, and she is glad to hear that. The street lights lost their color in a flash. Nina lets the tears run down her face. Her steps are like walking on cotton. Every step she takes, it has become harder. Chapter 14. Inform creditor. Lucian Gray. Inside the Lamborghini, watches the sad scenes on the street. Nina's screaming and her heart-wrenching expression makes him very curious. Lamborghini speeds up, catching up with the black car in front. Lucian takes a sidelong glance. The lights are too dim. He can only vaguely see a man, who is white and has gentle appearance, sitting in the car. Oh, Nina Morrison likes the guys like that. For some reason, Lucian Gray's heart is a little uncomfortable. What does Nina Morrison have to do with this guy? He picks up his cold lips slightly. Lucian steps on the gas and the Lamborghini gets past the black car immediately. Feeling a little stuffy, Lucian Gray opens the window and the cool night wind comes in. The car phone rings. I am sorry, I will never do this again. Forgive me. Lucian, on the phone, Sulia's voice is soft and delicate, full of grievances and apologies. Lucian raises his eyebrows. This woman, it is time to get rid of her. Lucian, why do not you talk? Do not be angry. Are you staying at the villa on the hill tonight? I will be there for you and I am sure you will be well served. She is very confident in her sexual skills. She knows all the arts in bed. Give the keys of the villa to John. After that, don't come closer to my place anymore. Lucian says softly, but his voice is with irresistible majesty, which is as cold as the most ruthless evil. Lucian, how can you be so heartless? I love you. I really love you. Sulia begins to cry as she feels the situation is not good. After all, where could she find such a powerful, generous man again? A check for $700,000, a 200 meters square oceanfront garden villa, and a new Porsche. Lucian's tone is a bit impatient and he wrinkles his handsome eyebrows slightly. He hates the nagging women. Lucian, okay, I see. Sulia, who is going to get into a little more trouble, decides to leave him alone. Lucian is rich and she has got enough. She will have a good life for the rest of her life. No wonder all the women are scrambling to get into his bed. He is not only handsome and rich, but also generous. These women, who had been with him, without exception, received generous gifts. He is surely a man that women can't resist and a man she will never forget. The car phone rings again. President, I have got the information you want. Nina Morrison, 19 years old, 5.2 feet tall and 47.5 kilograms in weight. She is a second-year student at T University studying journalism. Her father, Barry Morrison, used to be the boss of Shiny Jewelry, which went bankrupt. Barry Morrison became ill and the family moved secretly to C-City to get out of debt. Ryan says in humble reverence. Get out of debt. Lucian Gray's dark eyes show a small flame. Yes, sir. According to my research, Nina Morrison is currently doing 3 jobs to help her father pay off his debts. Lucian's sharp, thin lip curls and says, does she have a boyfriend? Oh, never heard of that. She has been working part-time since she got into school. She should not have time for a boyfriend. Notify all creditors of Shiny Jewelry about Barry Morrison's current address. Yes, sir. Inform banks and pawnbrokers that they will not accept any mortgage or pawn from the Morrison family. Yes, sir. Chapter 15. Ignore. Nina has a dream, in which she returned to her hometown and high school campus, where Troy's white shirt was so bright in the sun. He is so tall and proud, with clean white teeth and a bright smile, said to her, Nina, run, or we will be late. Nina wakes up. It is almost 7:30 and she has class this morning. It takes more than 20 minutes to get to school. She must hurry or she will be late. Nina gets up at the speed of light, brushes her teeth, washes her face, puts on her white, blue dress, grabs her bag and runs to school. She would rather live in a shantytown house in order to save the money for her room at school. A long line has lined up in front of the station. Nina sighs and stands at the end of the line. Suddenly she remembers the words of Troy in her dream. Nina, run, or we will be late. Yeah, her life has been running ever since Dad's business went bust. Run, run. Whatever she does, she must do her best. She takes all the courses she could. She has 3 jobs after school. She is too tired but can't have a rest. She is no longer the daughter of Morrison that makes people envy. By only running, she will not be overwhelmed by the burden of life. If I see you again, Troy, will you know me? Nina murmurs in her heart. Her bright eyes are covered with a thin layer of water mist. Her senior Troy, will he still remember her? Shaking her hair and putting all this sadness to the bottom of her heart, Nina Morrison tells herself that she cannot be vulnerable. Thinking of her sick father lying in bed, she is not allowed to have the slightest vulnerability. The bus has not showed up and Nina stamps her feet in anxiety. The 2 classes in this morning are very important. She heard that the tutor invited his favorite students for their comprehensive journalism practice. This is a very rare opportunity. How can she be late? Beep. There is the sound of a car horn around. Oh, it is probably she is in someone's way. Nina Morrison moves quickly, still keeping her eyes for the bus. Beep. The car horn rings again. Nina frowns, looking down where she's standing. She is not blocking anyone's way. And this is a bus lane. How can a private car drive in here? Tiptoeing with carelessness, she is anxious as the ants on the hot pot, only looking forward to the bus to show up quickly. Beep. The horn of the car is still ringing. What is so great about having a car? As she mutters to herself, Nina Morrison turns her head without patience and says, I am not in your way. The window of Lamborghini falls slowly. Lucian Gray holds the steering wheel in one hand and rests the other hand on the window. His eyes are shining and he smiles. Nina is frozen for 3 seconds and she responds right away. The best way to deal with people you hate is to ignore them. Turning her head around, Nina just ignores Lucian. She continues to line up for her bus. She does not even give him a glimpse. Lucian's thick eyebrows are crumpled. This little woman just ignored him. No one ever did this to him. She should really have a lesson. Lucian drives the car to her, reaches out and opens the passenger door. His voice is cold. Nina Morrison, get in the car. How does he know her name? Nina looks back in surprise. Her clear eyes are filled with curiosity. In the morning light, her white face and a pair of dark eyes are especially bright. Her pink mouth opens slightly because of surprise, with baby-like innocence. Chapter 16 Free Driver. This little woman is really pure and innocent. Everything she is thinking is writing on her face. Lucian's eyes could not help smiling. He raises his eyebrows and says, Nina Morrison, you are going to be late if you do not get in. Ah. Nina widens her watery eyes. How does he know she is going to be late? Nina's expression leaves Lucian in a good mood. With a little smile and his long arms stretching, he drags Nina straight into the car. Hey, what are you doing? Let go of me. Nina struggles with terror. Shish. Lucian buckles her seat belt and steps on the gas. The Lamborghini speeds up. You are insane. Put me down. Nina's face turns red out of anger while she shouts. Lucian shrugs lightly and says, Are not you rushing to class? I will just drop you off. Who wants your ride? Let me off the car or I will jump. Nina Morrison wants to unfasten her seatbelt. What a jerk this man is for using his strength against women. Nina Morrison despises men who bully women by brute force. Damn this seatbelt. She can't find the button. Lucian raises his lip when he sees Nina's distraught look and says, It's in vain. This car has been modified by me. No one can unfasten the seat belt except me. You, pervert. Nina does not even bother talking to him. She just leans over the wide, comfortable seat. Since there is a free driver, it is better to enjoy than resist. East Sinan Road, in front of TU University's Lightning Building. Nina closes her eyes and directs Lucian Gray. She is so tired. She has been dreaming for a whole night. Her eyelids are heavy. It is Lucian Gray's turn to be speechless. This little woman has changed too much. Just now she did not want to take his car and now she begins to take him as a driver to command. What is the matter? Don't you mean to take me to school? Nina opens her left eye facing Lucian. She is so sleepy that she does not bother to open two eyes if she could open one. At last Lucian Gray could not help laughing when he catches a glimpse of Nina Morrison in the rear-view mirror. Nina Morrison, do you have any idea what you look like? You didn't like it? Then let me out. Nina responds as soon as possible. It is the motorway and we can't park here. Lucian drops these lines and stops talking to Nina. He is going to have a class at T University in a minute and he is going to go over his speech in his head. For a moment there is silence in the car. The car is moving smoothly and any vibration can hardly be felt. Nina closes her eyes. Her eyelids are heavy but she could not sleep. The tumultuous dreams rushes back into her mind. In spring, in the playground, Troy Roger wears number 3 jersey. After a beautiful three-point shot, he smiles at Nina. Suddenly, the world is quiet, only that bright smiling was shining. At night, under the light of the lamp, Troy Roger came from behind and patted her back briskly. Nina, no hunchback. Nina, who used to be a little hunchbacked, has always had a straight back since Troy Roger reminded her. Even when her father's company went bankrupt and she wore a shabby dress that was cheap and insulting, her back was always straight. Troy. Nina suddenly grows sour in her eyes. She closes her eyes so tightly that tears will not flow out. Nina is trying so hard that her heart is in pain. Chapter 17 Encounter. Neurosis. Sensing something, Lucian Gray turns to look at the little girl next to him. Her eyes are closed tightly and her pale little face is with a painful despair. Snow-white teeth firmly bite the pink lips, almost to ooze blood. What is going on? Why is her face so sad? Lucian released a palm and pokes Nina's pale face with his index finger. What are you doing? It hurts. Nina is brutally stabbed by Lucian Gray and screams. As soon as her eyes opened, tears roll down her cheeks. Nina flusters away her tears. She does not want to be seen by the man next to her about her sadness. Lucian frowns his thick eyebrows and says, "What are you crying about?" "None of your business." Nina wipes away her tears, turns her head to the right and pretends to focus on the view outside the window. Troy is the deepest secret of her heart and she would not share it with anyone. It is the red light. Lucian Gray reaches out with a palm. Nina's jaw is clenched and her head is crudely turned to Lucian's side. A pair of deep black eyes focuses on her, still some red ones. "Tell me, what are you crying about?" "I am crying for my bad luck. Meeting someone so unreasonable like you. I am sad about my own destiny." Nina sneers angrily. This violent maniac, who does he think he is? Lucian is so angry with Nina that his big hands are about to add up strength. Then he sees Nina's wet face and suddenly his heart is softened. Her thin lips are squeezed and his hands pull back with suppressed rage. He slams on the brakes. Lucian Gray's movements leave Nina Morrison with a wobbly center of gravity and her head is knocked on the window, which hurts a lot. Not knowing what button is pressed, the seat belt is automatically released. The door is opened and before Nina Morrison has any response, Lucian Gray has left her on the busy street. Without a word, Lucian's Lamborghini leaves. Nina rubs the red jaw that is pinched by Lucian Gray. Madman. Nina murmurs in her heart. This man is really the type of crazy. He picked her up and left her on the street all by his will. The world does not all belong to him. She is not his pet. It is so infuriating. Waving her fist at the faraway Lamborghini, Nina looks at the time on her cell phone. It is too late. She is really going to be late. Nina, panting and running, almost breaks her leg before she arrives at the classroom before the bell rings. Far away she sees her friend Lily Bell waving to her in her seat. "Nina, over here." Lily saves her seat right in the middle of the front row. Nina and Lily are both diligent and good students. They take their classes seriously. "Lily, thank you." Nina smiles gratefully at Lily. Thanks to her, she could have such a good place. Nina, why did you run to Breathless? Lily says. Nina's little face is flushed with sweat on her nose after running. Lily hands her a packet of tissue thoughtfully. Don't mention it. It has been a bad day. I have run into a madman. Her words are not even finished when the students around applause. Professor Leo comes in with a tall man. This should be Professor Leo's favorite disciple, who is specially invited to their class today. Nina looks at the man with admiration. At this look, she almost jumps out of her seat. Chapter 18. I Am a Beast. The man wears a black suit, dark blue shirt, a blue tie and thick hair. He has a pair of deep dark eyes. Well, this is Lucian Gray. Nina stares at Lucian Gray in astonishment and can't speak a word. Hey, Nina, what are you doing? You can't move your eyes when you see the handsome guy, can you? Lily says with a smile. Just as Professor Lee raises his hand to signal and the class is quiet. The sound of Lily sounds loud in silence and everyone looks at Nina Morrison. Nina tries to shrink under the desk to reduce her sense of existing. Her eyes peep through the drooping hair toward Lucian Gray. Shit. Lucian Gray is staring at her with intense eyes and a half-smiling expression on his lips. Well, now that he knows it, she doesn't have to hide. Nina resigns, raises her head and her clear eyes, and stares boldly at Lucian Gray. She is not afraid of him. Lucian Gray smiles more as he receives a demonstrative look from Nina. Nina Morrison, we meet again. What Lucian Gray has said on the podium, Nina Morrison, who has been studying so hard, does not hear a word. It is not because girls whisper everywhere around her, wow, this Mr. Gray is so handsome. Yes, he is so talented. What a good speech. He knows more than Professor Lee. It's because that when Lucian Gray says a sentence, he looks at Nina's side. His eyes are so sharp that Nina Morrison felt a great deal of pressure even if she is sitting behind a desk several meters from him. That is the look in the eye of a fierce beast that finds its savory prey. Hold on. I can take it. Nina lowers her eyes and stops confronting him. Holding a pen in her hand, she scribbles unconsciously on the paper. Suddenly, an idea comes to her mind. With a bad laugh in her face, Nina Morrison draws 4 comic strips in her notebook. A fierce wolf in a black suit, a dark blue shirt and a blue tie, is standing on the platform talking. The wolf's face is Lucian Gray's face. Nina learned drawing. Lucian Gray's defiant eyes are so vividly portrayed that the wolf is clearly Lucian. The wolf's face is solemn but head circle written these words. Huh, ignorant little girls. You are all attracted by the handsome appearance of mine. Ha ha, you have no idea that I am actually a monster. Most ludicrous of all is that the wolf's untidy hair is painted with a big pink bow by Nina Morrison. Nina also puts on a 3-point swimsuit for this unruly wolf, with her boisterous, gruesome gesture and her prim, gruesome face. It is so funny to look at. Nina looks at Lucian Gray, the talkative guy on the stage, and the wolf, who is covered with mixed elements on the paper. Lucian, on the stage, sees Nina looking at him, smiling again and again. It looks like she is planning something bad. He secretly mutters, "What is this girl doing? Is there something dirty on my face?" The president of Gray, who has always been so free and never cares anyone's opinion, is a little confused. When class is over, he must ask the girl about it. Lucian Gray, glancing at Nina Morrison who's still laughing, suddenly feels powerless. Chapter 19. The meaning of bore. The long lesson is finally over. Nina breathes a sigh of relief. Her small white face is filled with laughter and a pair of pearly big eyes nifty looking at Lucian Gray. Bye, Wolf Tilda. Lucian Gray glances at Nina, who is making a face at him as she mutters something to the girl next to her. He knows she is speaking something bad about him. His dark eyes show strong desire of conquering. Little girl, you have it coming. Mr. Gray, just a moment, please. Suddenly a group of students with recording pens come to the door. Lucian Gray, with his eyebrows raised and his hands in his pockets, stands tall and straight with long legs and looks down at the leading girl. Mr. Gray, we are from T University News Agency. We would like to interview you. Could you give us half an hour? The leading girl looks sweet, with a confident light on her face. She is the most popular girl of the news agency. Interview me. Lucian Gray's thick eyebrows furrows slightly. He has an important meeting to attend and does not have time for a bunch of little girls playing games. Yes, Mr. Gray, you are the man of the time. It is rare of you to come to the University of T to give lessons to the younger mentees. Please accept our invitation. She is starting to get a little confused. Her beauty does not seem to work for Lucian Gray. With his eyes turned, Lucian Gray sees Nina Morrison slipping out of the classroom with her notebook. There is a smile shows on the corner of his mouth and his long fingers points to Nina Morrison. I accept, but I will only be interviewed by her. Ah, the beautiful girl is shocked and turns to Nina Morrison. Who is this? How could he ask for her? Nina, who is hurrying out with Lily, is surrounded by classmates from news agency. Please, Mr. Gray will only be interviewed by you. Please do us a favor. We have already prepared the questions. Just follow the script and ask Mr. Gray. Being not able to resist a group of people bombing begging, Nina has to accept an interview with Lucian Gray. All right. Just an interview. How dare Lucian Gray do anything to her in broad daylight? Nina's tiny head is raised and looks defiantly at Lucian. He is just a wolf. She is not Little Red Riding Hood and she is not afraid of him. Lucian Gray's dark eyes show a small flame and he thinks, little one, I've got you this time. She is the only person I am going to have this interview with and the rest of you can leave. Says Lucian Gray faintly. He is not used to being surrounded by a bunch of chatty little girls. The noise makes his head ache. Of course, he will not admit that he just wants to be alone with her. The crowd disperses. Nina stands in front of Lucian Gray with the recording pen that someone put in her hands. What is the matter? She is the only one left in the classroom with Lucian Gray. Lucian, with a deep laugh in his throat, reaches up with his palm and casually lifts Nina's jaw. Nina's 5.2 feet height is too short for him. Her momentum is much weaker in no time. But Nina Morrison obviously does not realize the situation. She just puts Lucian's claws away from her face. Lucian Gray, please show some respect. This is the school. Her voice is cold and her clear water eyes glares angrily at him. It shows no aggression on her face. Lucian thinks it is getting more and more funny. He just likes to watch the girl get angry. Shrugging his shoulders, he sits idly. His long legs lift comfortably. A pair of deep eyes looks at Nina playfully. Is this not an interview? It is time to start. Busy as he is, Lucian does not mind giving Nina a few more minutes. Nina's jaw is still warm on his fingers. With her big eyes shining, she pretends to open the tape and hand it to Lucian. Gray. Mr. Gray, do you know what a bore means? Asks Nina Morrison gravely. Well, Lucian's eyes lit up. What is this little girl doing? A bore is a hog in need of sex all the time. Mr. Gray is knowledgeable and has a lot of women, but you do not understand this world. Nina looks askance at Lucian Gray with her head cocked and with curious in her big eyes as if she is innocent. Chapter 20 Hot-tempered woman. Lucian suddenly snaps his eyes. No one ever dared treat him like this. Such a hateful word comes from her ruddy little mouth. Why she hates him so much. Lucian Gray felt a lump in his chest and could not get it out. Lucian stares at innocent Nina and sneers. His tall, straight body is closing in and he clenches her arms. Feeling the danger, Nina Morrison struggles. Let go of me. Or I will scream. Scream. She thought it was a threat. The little girl is not aware of the situation here. Lucian's eyes were full of mysterious light and ready to devour her anytime. Nina struggles harder, opening her mouth to call for help. Just as her mouth opens, Lucian Gray bends his head and kisses her lips without a doubt. Cold sweat drops from her forehead as Lucian Gray's palm moving everywhere on her body. The feeling of fear is accumulating. This is the classroom. If anyone sees this, she is rather dead. The wise man is who knows about the situation. Being against him is totally digging herself a grave. Nina softens her voice and pleads with him. Okay, I was wrong. I should not scold you. Just leave me alone. Leave you alone. How is it possible for a boar to stop easily? Lucian's voice is shameless. Nina Morrison is choked. Nina is almost crying. Somebody help her. She was wrong. She overestimated the man's character. She thought that in the classroom at school, the man would at least have scruples and would not do anything to her. The door of the classroom is knocked and a noisy voice comes from the outside. Mr. Gray, have you finished? Nina, who seems to have got her last hope, shouts, we are done. Come on in. At the moment the door is opened, Lucian Gray throws Nina Morrison out. After all, this is his mother's school. Professor Lee is worth some respect. Or Nina Morrison is doomed today. As soon as she is free, Nina, unable to pick up the recording pen and her notebook, rushes outside the classroom. Lucian Gray picks up the notebook left on the table after sending away the news agency's students. He opens it casually and Nina's cartoon catches his eyes. Huh, ignorant little girls. You are all attracted by the handsome appearance of mine. Ha ha, you have no idea that I am actually a monster. In the cartoon, Nina's handwriting is so strong that it is not like a little girl's writing at all. It is just like her stubborn character. Lucian Gray laughs. This game seems more and more funny. This naughty girl fits his appetite. Chapter 21 Shameless Means. Nina trails home and hears a sob in the house. Nina, save us. Seeing Nina, her stepmother Doris Lauren falls upon Nina as if Nina is her last hope. Aunt Lauren, what is wrong? Why are you crying? Nina Morrison asks. Doris Lauren and her daughter Grace are crying with red eyes. Your father's creditors somehow got our address and came to us to ask for repay, which must be paid by 5 o'clock this afternoon. If we don't, they would take your father to court and sell you and your sister to a bar to be whores. Doris Lauren hugs Grace and fondles her head. Nina, my modeling career just started and I just received a few ads, and a magazine cover offer. I can't go to the bar to work like that. Grace pretends to be poor and says. Her eyes hid something bad. Aunt Lauren, sister, don't worry. I will try to come up with a solution. Nina's heart is in a state of flux. Dad's medical bills are not yet available and now we are approached by the creditors. She will have to find some more part-time jobs. Don't worry, there is a ready-made solution. Grace hurriedly says and takes out a card. Nina, creditors said that if you just take this note to C1 Road 27 and then we don't need to pay these debts. Number 27 C1 Avenue. It is an old house full of ivy. It's unexpectedly that there is such an old house in urban district. Nina wonders that she has not noticed it before. Taking the note, she knocks on the mysterious door. No one answers, but the door opens automatically. Nina feels a little nervous for some reason. She takes a deep breath and calms down. Then she lifts her foot up the steps of rosewood. The stairs are polished and the whole house is low-key expensive. She can see that the master has extraordinary taste. Is anyone there? Nina's voice is tiny in the empty house. Suddenly, there is a straight shadow appears at the top of the stairs. His tall body covers the windows of the incoming sunshine. Nina raises her head consciously. She cannot see a man's face with the light on his back. Nina yanks the note and says, Excuse me, did you ask me to come to you with this note? You said to my sister that as long as I come to you, our debts will be written off. Is it true? A light smile slips out of the man's throat. It sounds familiar. Nina frowns incredulously. The man steps down the stairs at a leisurely pace. Nina Morrison feels a great deal of pressure. It is hot outside, but the house is a little cold in the shade. Nina squeezes the note. Her palms are sweating slightly. As the man approaches her, his arrogant momentum made Nina Morrison suddenly reflect that he is Lucian Gray. Feeling surprised, Lucian's voice is a little smug. He looks down at Nina with his hands in his pocket. There is a happy light in his eyes. My chilly girl, you can't escape. Nina's hands are clenched and her nails are deep in the flesh. This despicable man. He uses such shameless means to force her. With her clear, watery eyes widen, Nina Morrison speaks coldly. Is it funny to bully a girl like this, Mr. Gray, big president? Do you believe I would tip you off to Gossip magazine? Ha ha. A deep laugh rings over Nina's head. Lucian Gray scoffs and says, I can be very responsible to tell you that in C-City, no magazine dare to publish my gossip. Chapter 22 Worthless. Nina tries to escape but her feet are like trees with roots and she can't move. Her mind is in a fierce struggle. If she stays, it means she accepts all the unreasonable demands of this sick man. Escape. No, no. If she runs away, what would happen to her dad? What about Aunt Lauren and her sister? Her family will fall apart. Thinking about this, Nina has the courage. She raises her head firmly and smiles slightly at Lucian Gray. President Gray, what are your terms? Be my mistress till I am tired of you. Lucian Gray's eyes do not even look at her, but looking out the window. You are a psycho. Nina Morrison is going to turn around and leave. I will find the best hospital and the best doctor for your father. And I will make sure he will get well. The man's deep voice rings behind her. Nina Morrison stops. She hesitates. A scoundrel she hated so much wants her to be his secret lover. She would just slap him. But she hesitates. His offer was too tempting. Dad's illness is really because they have no money to cure it all the time. If she could find a top-class hospital where the best doctors operates on him, Dad would be fine. But the price of Dad's recovery is selling her out. Sell her to an animal. Figured out. Lucian Gray stares at her stiff back and smiles. Women, they are all goods on the shelf. Nina Morrison is not an exception. Lucian Gray walks over. His big, hot palm grips her body from behind, which is burning Nina Morrison. Nina, who stares at the palm of his hand in front of her, wants to scold him back. But she does not push him away. It is 4:50. She has 10 minutes left to think about it. Does she really have another choice? She has lost her right to choose when her father's business went bankrupt and she had to walk home from a dozen stops after working to save $2. Dignity. What is dignity as her dad is in bed? Once father was high spirits but now he only left a body, lying on the bed, unable to talk or move. What is the difference between him and a dead one? Dignity is worth nothing in front of harsh life. In order to cure her father, to sell her own body, which is no longer pure, is not a loss. Her innocence was already destroyed at that night by that unknown man. What is the difference between losing her body once and 10 times? Troy. Nina Morrison suddenly remembers Troy's elegant face. And she feels a dull pain in the heart. Troy Roger, who used to stand under the cherry tree in May, waited for her to after school. His smile was warmer than the spring breeze. He said, Nina, grow up faster, and I will take you to the sea on your 18th birthday. Troy Roger, once suddenly appeared like a god from heaven when the off-campus punks made a move on her. He beat them and made sure nobody can bully Nina Morrison. He was so polite a person. But to protect her, he would fight and willing to get school's record. Troy. Nina's eyes suddenly blur. Tears that she holds for a long time finally fall at the moment. A heavy drop of tear, which slips in her mouth, tastes unusually bitter.